Welcome to Gapology Radio Podcast with authors Mark Tinas and Brian Brockhoff. We can be reached at gapology.org, and our books can be found at amazon.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. This is your host, Brian Brockhoff, and this is your place for everything Gapology and beyond. Let's give Mark Tinas a call and see what he's up to this week.
Hey Brian.
Hey Mark, how are you today?
Great, how are you?
Good. What's going on?
Oh, working away. Working on that new book.
Good. Yeah, I've got some new drawings to put in there, some new artwork.
Yeah, good. I've got a bunch ready to go to share with you.
Yeah, very cool. So what do you want to cover this week?
Well, I want to talk about identity.
Oh, okay.
How's that sound?
Yeah, sounds good.
So, given a little background, in our work with Gapology, we were able to work with, thousands of leaders. And one of the characteristics of the great leaders was that they had strong identities. And when you drill down to the identity that they had created it. They had crafted it. It didn't just happen by accident. So identity is really who you think you are. And it really shaped their leadership, and it is so critical. So we wrote a book over the years called IMBAR, I-M-B-A-R, The Pathway of Transformation. And we really haven't talked to too many people about it. It's available on Amazon if you want a copy. But it details our learnings about identity and how to use identity to craft your leadership, to create a great future, to truly design your destiny. So we learned, and it was pretty amazing for Brian and I, we learned that you don't have to be who you've been. You can create an identity and become whoever you want to be. And so we created a process, which we call IMBAR. It's an acronym for Identity, Mindset, Behavior, Action, and Results. And it's pretty cool. So anything you want to add before I jump in here?
Yeah, I think identity is one of the most powerful things. If you find yourself in a situation where you're struggling, if you just change how you see yourself, your mindset totally can change at that moment.
Totally. That's it. So when you're struggling, it's about you. And when you change you change your identity, you change everything.
Right.
You change everything.
Yep.
So I don't think we knew going into all of this that, or we weren't clear on it, that identity was a choice. It's a choice. It's not something you're given at birth. You choose who you are. So that's so empowering. And for young people, for millennials today, you can be whoever you want to be. Don't lose sight of that. And it never goes away. You've got your whole lifetime to do that, but start now. So IMBAR is a process to do that. So today I'm simply going to share, Brian, the storyboard and how to use it.
Okay.
So Brian and I crafted a storyboard, which was a way for a leader to sort of self-explore and figure out who they are so they could figure out who they wanted to become. So it was a way to help somebody come up with the identity that they wanted to transform into. And it has so many positive implications. I've used it with so many different people to just help them solidify who they are as maybe they interview for promotion or interview for a new job. People don't realize the great things that they have, and they often don't self-reflect well to understand who they are, what they've done, and therefore who they can become. So if you can take notes, write these down, and if not, it's pretty easy to memorize, and you can also get the book IMBAR. So here we go. So the first piece of the storyboard, and the storyboard is literally, we did it both digitally and on paper, but it's sort of 6 different boxes that you fill in about yourself. and these would precede a conversation about your identity and about who you want to become. The first section is I am, and then it's a blank page, and you fill in who you are. So this one's amazing because people often struggle to describe themselves, but when they think about it a little bit, they start coming up with some great things. So who are you? And you start filling this in, and you come up with a clear sense, really, of who you are. And it's very powerful because unless you get to who you are, you can't craft who you want to become because you have to move from point A to point B. Brian, any thoughts on I Am or the storyboard?
Yeah. This first one is really the most important, I think. When I've asked this question in the past, it's amazing how silent the room can be. When I say, who are you? People don't know. It's really hard to put words to it. And oftentimes I see where they start to transfer other people's vision of them into how they see themselves. So it isn't how they see themselves. It's more of what they've heard. Other people give them feedback, so they don't have a clear vision of their own desires and their own things that they're trying to go after, and really who they are at the heart.
Yeah, so it's huge. So you spend time on I am. The next section is proud of. What are you proud of? This one's interesting because it ties directly to I am. When you explore what someone's proud of, you really connect with their values and their purpose, and things start coming out that, again, hadn't been surfaced before, that they hadn't thought of. And when you look at what you're proud of, it really causes you, again, to see maybe core competencies that you have that become part of who you can become in the future. So it's critical to know what you're proud of because, again, it shapes who you can be. It shapes what motivates you, what excites you. And it's very exciting to look at yourself and say, hey, I'm proud of this, this, and this. Because that, again, forms identity and helps you get a glimpse of who you could become. Thoughts, Brian?
Yeah, so oftentimes I think people are so prone to go to the negatives. You know, what are those things that are negative about myself? And to stop and really reflect on those things that you're proud of, I think that's super important. It creates that positive center that you're trying to create.
Yeah, that's huge. I asked in one group, they were struggling with it, and I said, okay, what makes you smile? And all of a sudden they had it.
I love that. That's great.
Had it.
Yeah, that's great.
If it created this visual where they could suddenly see what it was. The next one, exclusively for leaders for the most part, and again, we have done most of our work with leaders, was list out your people successes. So we want to know by name people that you've impacted, people whose lives have been impacted by your leadership, by your guidance. This gives you an insight as a leader in what you can do in the future. It connects you with something likely of great significance to you that oftentimes, again, is going to be part of who you want to become. It's something you want to do more of. I mean, if you've impacted 3 people's lives, congratulations, that's a huge feat, something to be very proud of. But if you've impacted 3 people's lives, maybe you can impact 1,000. What if that became part of your identity? Thoughts, Brian?
Yeah, I think, the people piece, people are intertwined in our whole lives. So as we journey through our lives, we're encountering people all over the place, right? And many of us, especially if you're an individual contributor, maybe you're not a manager, but many of us impact people around us even without us thinking about it. And this exercise to pause and really think of the people that we impact, I think is really powerful.
Yeah, and so true. So the next one plays right off of it. And it's not as exciting for some, but it's very real. And this one is my projects. So what have you done that you're proud of? From a project standpoint. So a lot of people, most leaders, take great pride in their work. And when you dig in, they've done some amazing things. They have created amazing programs, amazing rollouts, amazing policy changes, and they've maybe forgotten about them. And again, they also give us a glimpse into what we could do for the future. They also reflect passions. Many leaders are operators, and operators do things. They do projects. So to connect with the most significant projects, the most significant accomplishments, separate from the people that you developed, is a big deal. And again, it connects to identity and who you can become in the future. Mm-hmm. Any thoughts on projects?
Yeah. Taking a project from point A to point B it can be a tremendous accomplishment. The big projects especially, if you can really look back on those things and think about, man, I got through that. At the beginning, I didn't think I was going to be able to do it, but I stuck it out, surrounded myself with good people, worked hard, and I got through that. And you can learn a lot through that. And then even those little things, sometimes you can look back and go, at the time I didn't think that was maybe the most important thing that I was doing, but it really changed my life and changed other people's lives.
Yeah. All right, so I want to step back and just recap real quick. We've only got 2 to go on the storyboard. So what we've covered so far is I am, and really connecting with who you are and describing yourself so that you can see this future state, transformed state identity. We then have gone to proud of, what you're proud of, what you're most proud of, which really helps you connect with your values and your purpose. We then have looked at our people successes and people whose lives we have impacted. And then we went to my projects. So things we have completed, projects we're proud of, the top things that we've accomplished. The last, second from the last one is my learnings. So this one is about maybe mistakes you've made. And mistakes are part of who we are. We learn from our mistakes. If we're not making mistakes, we're not growing and learning. So you can be proud of mistakes because you can not make them again. You can learn from them. You become better as a leader. So it's critical to look back and say, okay, what have I learned after all of this? What have I learned about myself? What have I learned to do and not to do in the future? So by self-reflecting on your learnings, you become a better leader. So they therefore form part of who your new identity could be, who you could be in the future. We don't want to ignore mistakes. We want to embrace mistakes because they make us better. Brian? Yeah.
Taking a tactical approach to your learnings, to your mistakes, I think is key. Oftentimes we just make a mistake and we kick ourselves and, I wish I wouldn't have done that. And, you kind of reflect a little bit on it, but you don't stop and go, okay, so what behaviors delivered that? What events transpired to deliver that outcome? And we don't take that tactical, analytical approach to, taking our learnings and actually growing from them.
Yeah, we are all a work in process. Mm-hmm. A work in process. And if we recognize that and understand that, we can literally get better every day. And part of the way we get better every day is by learning from mistakes that we will make. But if we are playing it so cautious that we are not making mistakes, we are not learning and growing.
Yep, for sure.
Good point, Brian. So the last one is the fun one. It's my future. So everybody likes to look off to the future. So it's been interesting with the groups to explore how excited they get as they start talking about the future. And this is really where your identity comes into play. Because if we can figure out what you want to become, the identity becomes very clear. So what does your future look like? What do you want it to look like? Understanding that it's a blank slate. It is a blue ocean. It's all yours. You can do what you want with it. Is really energizing, and some amazing things have come out of this. We have seen people make career changes just in this conversation. why not do what you want to do for the rest of your life? So what does your future look like? What are the top few things that you want in your future? They are critical to talk about, to explore, to self-reflect in order to determine what your identity can be. So that was the last piece of the storyboard. Any thoughts around that, Brian?
Yeah, no, it's key to have the end in mind, to know where you're going, what you really want to achieve. And most people do not, figure that out clearly. They don't write it down. They don't have that clear vision of what their future is that they really want. And it's absolutely crucial to be able to do that.
Yeah, so we have seen this storyboard have an amazing impact on organizations, on individuals. By the way, you can do it for an organization or for a team as well. It's very interesting to do it as a group exercise and explore it, as a team or organization. But we've seen it have a major impact on people's lives. So we wanted to share it with you today, and we wanted to remind everybody that you don't have to be who you've been. You can be whoever you want to be. And you can create an identity, you can craft an identity, and truly design your destiny. So that's our lesson for today on identity. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Mark. We'll talk to you next week. Okay, that wraps up another podcast for this week. As a reminder, we are available to host workshops or individual certifications on Gapology and IMBAR. Head on over to our website for more details. You can also reach us by email at contact@gapology.org. Everyone have a great week. We'll talk to you soon.
This has been a Gapology production. Visit us at gapology.org.